The league preaches grit, brotherhood, and sticking together. Yet a few superstars completely fumbled those values the second they stepped off the turf.
Earl Thomas is facing charges this afternoon following an incident in Texas last month.
TMZ is reporting the wife of Raven safety, Earl Thomas, held a gun to his head after learning of an alleged...
Tiki Barber torched his family life and sterling reputation by hooking up with a young intern he was supposed to be mentoring.
Pregnancy, it's revealed that he's been sleeping with the intern.
We aren't talking about some bench warmer here. Earl Thomas defined a generation, racking up 7 Pro Bowls, a ring, and anchoring Seattle's terrifying Legion of Boom. For almost 10 years, this man was the gold standard for laser focus, strict discipline, and raw, God-given ability. Yet, once the pads came off, that on-field invincibility didn't translate home, culminating on April 13th, 2020, when his domestic life imploded in spectacular fashion. It kicked off that evening with a heated row over his drinking habits, ending with Earl storming out alongside his brother. Seth, sensing something fishy, Nina fired up his Snapchat, tracked his location, and had her nightmare confirmed he was holed up at a rental property with company. She grabbed his 9mm handgun, rounded up a posse, including her sister, and sped over there, breaching the rear entrance before storming the second floor. That is when she walked in on Earl and Seth in their birthday suits with other ladies, and the scene instantly erupted into absolute bedlam. Nina confessed to aiming the weapon right at his dome, thinking she'd disarmed it, but cops later noted a round was chambered. The safety was disengaged, and her finger was itching on the trigger. Bystanders claim she was screaming at the mistresses and taking swings at Earl while menacing the whole room until he managed to pry the firearm away. By the time law enforcement rolled up at 3:41 in the morning, Earl had the gun while Nina was hunting him with a knife, a scene captured perfectly on body cams and mobile video. Cops slapped the cuffs on Nina, hitting her with a felony burglary charge specifically for breaking in with the intent to commit assault using a lethal weapon. While Earl dodged handcuffs that night, his public image was incinerated on the spot. And, shortly after, Nina served him divorce papers on the grounds of adultery. The courts gave her a restraining order as their union disintegrated for the world to see. And Earl's attempt to downplay it on Instagram only made things worse. It didn't end there. Fast forward to 2022, and he's in cuffs again for breaching a protective order by allegedly texting threats to a female. To top off that cursed year, a lightning strike ignited a massive inferno that reduced his home to ash. Though miraculously, nobody was hurt. Next on the docket is Tiki Barber, the guy who got too close to the help. But remember, this man wasn't just some random running back. He was the Giants' poster boy for 10 years. A 3-time Pro Bowler who shattered franchise rushing records and commanded immense respect across the league. Post-retirement, he slid effortlessly into a TV career with NBC and The Today Show, selling himself to America as the polished, dependable family man. However, that squeaky clean facade was hiding a personal life that was barreling toward one of the messiest infidelity sagas the sport has ever seen. He had tied the knot with Ginny Cha, his college love, back in 1999, building a big family in NYC that included twin girls born in 2010. Yet in April of that very year, with Ginny 7 months along in her pregnancy, the bombshell dropped that they were splitting up. The ugly truth came out fast. Tiki was creeping around with Tracy Lynn Johnson, a 23-year-old intern he'd crossed paths with on the set. It gets creepier, she had actually babysat his kids. And insiders say they were jet-setting on work trips together while his wife was back home expecting. Things went from bad to weird when Tiki told Sports Illustrated he had been camping out in his agent's attic with the girl just to dodge the paparazzi. That admission got him roasted, especially since he had spent years trashing his own dad for walking out on them when he was a kid. Karma hit instantly. NBC dropped him, and the press painted him as a total fraud who betrayed both his wife and the good guy brand he'd peddled for years. People in his inner circle were floored, calling the behavior completely bizarre and claiming they never saw it coming from a guy like him. Barely a week after the divorce ink dried in July 2012, Tiki and his former intern rushed to the courthouse to make it official. They have since had 2 kids and stabilized their image. But let's be real, the public has never looked at him the same way since. Then there is Ryan Shazier, a linebacker whose wife put him on blast for straying, though his story is more complicated than most. This kid was the chosen one for Pittsburgh's defense, a 2014 first-rounder and 2016 Pro Bowler with speed and IQ that were off the charts. Come 2017, he was the heartbeat of the team, destined for the Hall of Fame, until one play on December 4th changed his trajectory forever. Under the Monday Night Lights against Cincy, Shazier dropped his head to make a routine stop on receiver Josh Malone. The second he landed, he grabbed at his lower back and his legs went dead, sending a hush over the entire stadium. Medics rushed him to trauma care, and 48 hours later, surgeons worked to stabilize his spine, warning he might never walk again. What followed was a grueling war of attrition where he had to teach his body how to simply stand and step all over again. He wouldn't give up, though 11 months post-op he was jogging, and at his wedding to Michelle Rodriguez in 2019. The man actually danced. It was arguably the greatest comeback tale of the decade. But behind that inspirational curtain, his marriage was quietly unraveling. By November 2023, Michelle aired him out publicly, dropping screenshots of shady texts between him and a woman named Marie. The receipts showed plenty of flirting, late-night chats, and even links to relationship self-help books. He was apparently sending his side piece. Michelle didn't hold back, claiming she had his back from the moment he got hurt, only to get stabbed in hers. She introduced the world to the real Ryan, calling him a straight-up liar and cheater. That post blew up instantly before she scrubbed it from the internet. Shazier clapped back via TMZ, insisting they were already living separate lives and officially on a break. He begged for some space, but honestly, the cat was already out of the bag. Fast forward 2 months to January 2024, and he dropped the divorce papers. The court locked those files down tight, keeping any juicy details permanently under wraps. They'd been hitched since 2019 and were raising a son. Now, let's pivot to a guy who turned infidelity into a team sport, Chad Johnson. You couldn't just call Chad Johnson a wide receiver. He was the one and only Ocho Cinco, a total showman. We're talking a 6-time Pro Bowler who rewrote the history books for the Cincinnati Bengals. The man treated the gridiron like a Broadway stage. He was busting moves in the end zone, racing thoroughbreds for a good cause, and literally sleeping at the stadium to pinch pennies. Between the hash marks, he was a beast. But in the real world, total train wreck. It all exploded in July 2012, barely 41 days after he said, "I do" to Evelyn Lozada. Evelyn stumbled across a receipt for condoms in his ride, and things got ugly fast. A shouting match turned violent, with police reports stating Chad actually headbutted her right there in the driveway. Terrified, she bolted to a neighbor's place to dial 911. Cops slapped cuffs on him for domestic battery, and a judge immediately hit him with a no-contact order. That marriage was over before the ink even dried. Even years down the road, Chad's personal drama just kept spinning out of control. By late 2024, his engagement to selling Tampa star Sherelle Rosado crashed and burned over cheating rumors. Sherelle put him on blast, admitting she snooped through his phone and found other women all over it. It was the whole 9 yards: shady texts, late-night chats, heavy flirting, all proving he was stepping out while he was supposed to be locking it down. She was completely over the circus that came with his fame, the endless female attention, and the sheer embarrassment of being disrespected in front of the world. While Sherelle made the breakup official, Chad played it cool, cracking jokes about saving money on car insurance instead of addressing the mess. They share a daughter, Serenity, who arrived in January 2022. They'd been an item since November 2020 and put a ring on it in January 2023. The family tree is complicated. He's got 7 other kids, and she's a mom of 3 herself. Even with the split, she insisted they were still a family unit, doing their best to co-parent. Flipping the script, let's look at a player stuck in a bizarre love triangle that was pure chaos. Enter Zach Wilson. This guy wasn't just some random quarterback filling a roster spot. He was the Jets' chosen one, a BYU star drafted 2nd overall in 2021, expected to save the franchise. But his off-field antics were about to eclipse anything he did with a football. In 2022, his ex, Abigail, lit the internet on fire, She claimed Wilson cheated on her with his own mother's best friend. That rumor went nuclear instantly. The web was drowning in memes, screenshots, and wild theories. Wilson played it coy, finally breaking his silence with a cheeky post asking, "What I miss?" The plot thickened when Abby started seeing Dax Milne Wilson's old roommate and teammate. Buddies turned into enemies, and the gossip went international. Suddenly, Wilson's mom, Lisa, was stuck in the eye of the storm. She uploaded videos begging trolls to leave her friends alone and ranting about online predators. In a 30-minute monologue, she poured out a cocktail of anger and sadness, talking about betrayal, parenting struggles, and how toxic internet fame can really get. Wilson was having a nightmare on the turf. 2. During a matchup with the Dolphins, he got sacked 4 times and pulled halfway through with a head injury. The Jets got smoked 30-0. Between the fumbles and the constant pressure, the kid looked completely out of his depth. Even a stellar game against Houston couldn't erase the bad memories. By 2024, the Jets let him shop for a new team, sending him to the Broncos before he landed with the Dolphins. While bouncing around the league, he worked on his personal life, popping the question to Nicolette Delano in 2024 and tying the knot in 2025. Let's shift gears to Delanie Walker, a guy whose fiancée busted him stepping out. Walker wasn't just a tight end, he was an absolute grinder in the NFL. He logged 14 seasons across 2 squads, made 3 Pro Bowls with the Titans, and built a name as a do-it-all weapon you could always count on. But off the gridiron, life hit him with scandals and heartbreak he never saw coming. His world fell apart in 2013. Just hours after he suited up for Super Bowl 47, a drunk driver killed his aunt and uncle, Alice and Brian Young, while they were parked on the shoulder of Interstate 10 in Louisiana. The collision was absolutely horrific. A speeding Mercedes plowed right into their Altima. Both vehicles burst into fireballs, and responders couldn't even recover the bodies until the flames were extinguished. Walker had just embraced them at a party hours before. It didn't feel real until his mom confirmed that the police badge pulled from the wreckage belonged to his uncle. That loss changed him. Walker, who used to be casual about drinking and driving, transformed into a crusader against getting behind the wheel intoxicated. He joined forces with Mothers Against Drunk Driving, touring schools and pushing for laws that force first-time offenders to use breathalyzers to start their cars. As he noted, people often drive drunk 100 times before getting nabbed. He admitted it's a shame people ignore the danger until it lands on their doorstep. But Walker's private life also grabbed headlines for way less noble reasons. Back in 2015, his fiancée Racine Lewin hijacked his Instagram account, blasting him for cheating while she was 4 months along with their baby. She uploaded a scorching rant, exposing his affairs and lame excuses, claiming he cared more about his public image than his own family. The wedding was off, though they kept co-parenting their little girl. Yet, even with all that tragedy and drama, Walker didn't let up on the field. Following a 7-year stint with the 49ers, he inked a 4-year deal with the Titans worth $17.5 million. He became the heart of that offense, blocking, catching, and schooling the rookies. Coaches loved his flexibility, dubbing him a Swiss Army knife for his range of skills. But between the injuries and personal demons, he proved he wasn't Superman. A nasty ankle issue sidelined him for 25 games across 2 seasons, eventually forcing him to hang up his cleats. In retirement, he pivoted to media, co-hosting a gambling show called The Locker Room. It kept him tied to the sport even after his playing days were done. Next on the list is a guy caught fooling around in a parking lot, Baker Mayfield. Baker wasn't just slinging the rock, he was shattering records. We're talking the #1 pick in 2018 who set the rookie touchdown bar, snapped the Browns' 19-game losing skid, and finally dragged Cleveland to a playoff win after a 25-year drought. Baker's narrative outside the stadium is just as rocky as his professional record. Back in February 2017, things went south in Arkansas when the handcuffs came out. According to the official booking, it was a total mess. He was barely intelligible, covered in dinner, tripping down steps, screaming curses, and trying to outrun the cops. They slapped him with charges for being drunk in public, acting out, and fighting the law. Oklahoma University mandated 35 community service hours and some booze awareness classes, barely a reprimand for what turned into a saga of personal theatrics. Come July 2019, he tied the knot with Emily Wilkinson, a Californian who pivoted from organizing cosmetic surgeries to reporting, swiftly stepping up as the highly visible half of their duo. However, barely 30 days post-nuptials, rumors exploded. A 20-year-old from Ohio named Casey Dingus alleged she hooked up with the quarterback in a Cheesecake Factory lot. She presented supposed explicit pictures and a play-by-play of the tryst. Yet, even with the gossip swirling, Baker and Emily stood their ground. Emily handled it with class, sharing a stoic Instagram caption declaring that regardless of public opinion, he remained flawless to her. United, they flipped the script to focus on philanthropy. The couple has been absolute workhorses when it comes to charity. Whether it is aiding Cleveland cancer patients, holiday toy drives, or funding reading initiatives via their foundation, their Tampa Bay Passing the Joy campaign proves they are about way more than gridiron glory. Professionally, Baker has journeyed from the Browns to the Panthers, Rams, and Bucks, collecting Pro Bowl nods and postseason victories while establishing himself as a clutch playoff performer. Personally, they are gearing up for a baby girl due in April 2024, showing that despite legal trouble and infidelity rumors, there is still room for a happy ending. Switching gears, let's look at an athlete whose significant other called him out for stepping out. Enter Cody Ford. He wasn't some random tackle. The Bills snatched up this prime Oklahoma talent, 38th overall back in 2019. During his debut season, he shuffled positions on the line, filling the gap when Ty Nsekhe went down. His initial brush with infamy happened during that heartbreaking wildcard defeat to Houston. A controversial blindside block penalty on Ford in overtime basically handed the Texans the win. The NFL slapped him with a fine over $28,000, prompting loyal Buffalo supporters to launch a crowdfunding campaign to cover it. By 2020, he was moving all over the offensive line. Then the physical toll kicked in. A meniscus tear sidelined him, putting him on the shelf. Inconsistency and absences plagued him, and his reputation shifted away from football. The Cardinals traded for him in 2022, but the injury bug bit him there as well. Come 2023, he found a spot with Cincinnati. He started on the bench but finally got the nod to start against Pittsburgh in Week 12. He inked a one-year add-on in March 2024 and another two-year pact a year later. While he kept playing, the tabloids were more interested in his romance drama. In January 2023, he debuted his relationship with TikToker Tiana Robillard. He popped the question in April 2024, but 60 days later, the wedding was off. Robillard blew the whistle on his disloyalty. During a vacation in Paris, tips about his cheating rolled in. She searched her messages and discovered evidence he had given out their home address. After facing him down, she packed up and fled their place in Dallas, leaving the diamond behind. The internet quickly turned into a war zone. To make matters worse, influencer Leah Rodriguez appeared online sporting hoodies Robillard swore belonged to Cody. Receipts flew everywhere, sparking fan debates while the player himself kept his mouth shut. Then there is the heartbreaking saga of a wedding called off because of cheating. We're talking about Ronnie Stanley. Stanley was a beast, not just a standard lineman. The Ravens grabbed him 6th overall in 2016, and he immediately established himself as a premier left tackle. By 2019, he was snagging all-pro accolades. He was the wall protecting Lamar Jackson, enabling historic offensive runs. He secured a massive bag in 2020, a 5-year deal worth over $112 million, making him the richest lineman in the game. However, adversity struck hard. In Week 8 of 2020 versus Pittsburgh, his world crumbled with a devastating ankle break. It was a gruesome fracture and dislocation requiring surgery. He was immobile for months. He attempted a comeback in 2021, but the pain was relentless. He was literally crying on the field. He gave up 9 pressures in just 40 snaps. It was a nightmare. Another surgery later revealed a fully ruptured ligament. Stanley admitted no amount of grit could overcome that injury. Meanwhile, his private life was spiraling just as fast. He had been with Emily Kuzerk for almost 10 years. They got engaged in 2021 with plans to say "I do" in Hawaii the following year. Yet, right before the big moment, it imploded. Fights over the prenup, a secret second bachelor trip, and him ignoring her on the wedding morning drove Emily to call it quits. Rumor has it he just agreed with the cancellation. She walked out, but he threw the party anyway. Pictures surfaced online, shocking everyone and fueling gossip about cheating and lies. Reports varied on who actually pulled the plug, but it was undoubtedly a disaster. Regardless of the drama, he was back in a Ravens jersey for 2022. Though knee issues persisted in 2023, he managed 13 games. By 2024, he was fully back, starting every match and earning another Pro Bowl nod. Next up is Jordan Poyer, the safety who stepped out on his wife with a college student. And Poyer wasn't just some roster filler, he anchored the Bills' defense. After entering the league in 2013 and hopping from Philly to Cleveland, he became a legend in Buffalo next to Micah Hyde. He racked up accolades for his sharp, aggressive play, but away from the stadium, his life was pure mayhem. Summer 2018 dragged him into a massive controversy involving a supposed fling with Summer Rae, a student at the University at Buffalo. DMs between the student and Poyer's wife, Rachel Bush, hit the web, airing their dirty laundry for everyone to consume. Rachel didn't hold back, admitting that she messed up and hurt Jordan. But she also painted the other woman as an obsessed stalker. The backlash was instant. The internet went wild as Rae shared receipts, claiming she wasn't a homewrecker but was just tired of being bullied. Rachel Bush came out swinging, hurling threats at Rae to shield her loved ones, while Jordan Poyer stood frozen in the dead center of the media whirlwind. Every messy detail of his personal world hit the front pages as he fought desperately to salvage his vows. Yet somehow, the pair weathered the storm and made it through the season. The two eventually mended fences, showing up to game days hand in hand to prove they were solid. But beneath the photo ops, the painful memory of that scandal lingered. Fast forward to 2019, and a crushing post-season defeat pushed him toward the bottle, forcing him to admit that alcohol was destroying his livelihood, his household, and his sanity. When March 2020 rolled around, he vowed to get clean, flipping his darkest moments into a beacon of hope by baring his soul on Instagram and the Players' Tribune. These days, Poyer stands tall as the heartbeat of the Buffalo defense, a two-time Pro Bowl star and devoted family man. Tell us what you think about his wild ride in the comments below. Before you click away, make sure to smash that like button and hit subscribe on NFL Rivals so you never miss out on our future uploads.